right, you know it's time. It's Monday evening. It's weather for Weather Geeks time. Hope you had a great weekend, everyone. We are heading into a more benign period, certainly over the next couple of weeks, rounding out the month of February. But before we get to all the details on the upcoming pattern, let's quickly review what happened Friday into Saturday across the region. Now, in our TV viewing area, we did not get in on the really heavy band of snow just off to our south. But wow, what a forecast nightmare for meteorologists in the Steubenville area, heading back towards Columbus and Zanesville, and then out to the east across Pennsylvania as well. There's a real narrow band that formed Friday evening that just kept training over kind of the same areas, and there was an isolated, 15-mile wide band of heavier snow amounts. So down towards Steubenville, it was pretty common down there to get between 6 and 10 inches. We're just to the north, up near Toronto, a couple of inches, similar to what we had in our Columbiana County areas. But once you're down towards Steubenville, Mingo Junction, and then heading off to the west into southern Tuscarawas County and over towards Coshocton and into the far northern suburbs of Columbus, there was that nasty stripe of 6+ inches. And then kind of something very similar happened in eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Again, that band was about 15 miles wide, and it produced a localized maximum of double-digit snow amounts in some spots around Allentown, Pennsylvania, and heading over towards Staten Island and some of the central parts of New Jersey. And, this is just not something that we have the capability of forecasting ahead of time. Forecasters going into this storm thought there might be some sort of narrow band, but it's just impossible to say if it's going to form or where it's going to be. And so you don't forecast, there's going to be a narrow band where someone's going to get 10+ inches of snow. People will call you crazy if you come out with a forecast like that. So, yeah, real challenge from a forecasting and communications standpoint for some parts of Ohio into Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Around our television viewing area, the storm pretty much behaved as expected. We got a couple inches in most of the area. We had a little bonus snow with the lake effect on Saturday. Gave some places another inch or two worth of snow, especially in the morning on Saturday. But after that cold weekend, today we got back above the average by only 2 degrees, but this is just the beginning of a warming trend that will take us through the middle of the week. What a nice sunset this evening. We had the emergence of some high cirrus clouds during the second half of the afternoon. That always helps us have a really nice sunset. And this evening's sunset was a little bit of a notable one because it was after 6 o'clock. It was our first post 6 p.m. sunset since November the 4th, last fall. And, these 6 o'clock hour sunsets actually don't last very long because of the time change coming up. 3 weeks from yesterday, March the 10th, is the return of daylight saving time, and that means our sunset on March 11th, 3 weeks from today, will be at 7:25 p.m. So, yeah, we're going to really notice the changes over the next few weeks, especially at the tail end of the day. And, it was interesting over the weekend, and even into today, but maybe especially over the weekend, when we were below freezing, but when the sun was out, there was a lot of melting going on, especially on the pavement, because we're into what I call sun angle season at this time of the year. Once you get past Valentine's Day, it really becomes noticeable. The sun is as strong now as it is in the second half of October. So even if it's 26, 27 degrees, if you've got that strong sun beating down on the pavement, on paved surfaces, the snow really doesn't stand much of a chance. A month ago, with a temperature around 26 degrees, you wouldn't see very much melting because the sun is still pretty weak in mid to late January. But despite, the modest amounts of snow that we had Friday into Saturday, of course, we're still well behind average for the season at the airport, 25.6 inches behind average. Look at Erie, almost 60 inches shy of average through today's date. And we're not going to add much to those totals anytime real soon. We're heading into a much more benign and mild pattern taking us through the next 10 days. All the action right now is actually out west, and I wanted to zoom in real quickly in California because you don't see this often. A tornado warning polygon in some parts of Northern California, even covering some mountainous areas. This is heading into the Sierra Nevada mountains. So out here is what we call the Central Valley of California. San Francisco's off screen out this way. This is up in the mountains, pretty much. And, that's just not something you see very much, a tornado warning in the state of California. It happens, but not very often. Back here at home, our Tuesday will play out a lot like today. It'll just be warmer in the afternoon. We'll get off to a cold start, but a clear start, and we expect a full supply of sunshine for our Tuesday, boosting those temperatures into the upper 40s to around 50. Warm front lifting off to our north will open the floodgates wide open to some abnormally mild air for the next couple of days, including on Wednesday. A few fair weather clouds in the mix Wednesday, but we'll be dry, we'll be warmer. Our next chance for rain, it's our only chance for rain in our current forecast for the next 6 or 7 days. It's Thursday, and it looks like a pretty good chance. I think it's going to rain off and on throughout our Thursday as yet another warm front attempts to lift in. Now, what's going to happen is this low is going to take a track that's actually going to drag in some colder air. So while this warm front makes its approach Thursday, it's actually a cold front by Thursday night into Friday morning that will usher in somewhat more seasonable air for a couple of days at the end of the week and the start of the weekend. But boy, is that brief. I mean, 4 degrees below average by Saturday, but look what happens by Sunday. We're right back into the upper 40s, and I think we're going to see 60 in some spots once or twice next week, probably right around the 27th or 28th. Now, that is not record territory for the end of February, but it, of course, is way, way above the average. And, you know, when you get into this time of the year, when you start talking about a warm pattern, the question is raised, hey, is that it? Does that mean winter's over? And I would never make that call this early. Yes, it looks pretty snow-free for the rest of February, but we've got March to get through, and March is actually one of our snowier months. It's, on average, our 4th snowiest month. And one thing that's interesting when you go back and look at the statistics is actually March is the month of the year that we see our most frequent big snow events. The number of days going back to 1930 with 6 inches plus worth of snow in one calendar day, it's not even close, actually. March is by far and away the month that has the most of those kinds of days, even more than the middle of winter. A lot of times, you know, in the dead of winter back in January, the air is too dry to have a big snowstorm. As you get into March, odds start favoring a little more interaction with some deeper moisture off to the south and cold air masses, and that can result in bigger snow events. Not saying we're going to have that this year. It's too early to make that call, of course. But climatologically speaking, it's actually kind of interesting that the very end of winter and even the start of meteorological spring is the time of the year that we have to watch out for some real doozies. That'll do it for me on this Monday evening Weather for Weather Geeks video. Coming up on Tuesday, we'll take another look at Thursday's rain chances. We'll look ahead deeper into the longer range, I think. We'll have some thoughts on what's coming up as we head into March. I'm going to be putting together a seasonal forecast for the spring season. We don't blow that out and make as big of a deal out of it as our winter forecast, but we'll be making a spring forecast here at the end of the month and heading into early March, and we'll start dropping a few more hints as to what I'm looking at for the spring season coming up Tuesday and in future editions of Weather for Weather Geeks. Thanks for watching tonight. I'll see you back here tomorrow.